at the highest level of abstraction, there are two important management principles that are rarely ever talked about. In fact, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody explicitly mention them. So if it's okay, I'd like to spell these out. And of course, if anybody disagrees, I'd be more than receptive to be corrected. The first principle of management, again, at the highest level of abstraction, is that human extinction should be avoided. There literally could be nothing worse than for all of human life to end. From this first principle, it follows that any idea, any company, or any project should ultimately be judged by whether it moves humanity toward or away from extinction. We might also say that if an idea or an organization is powerless to combat the threat of extinction, this also serves as a kind of measure. Now, what's more typical since the Enlightenment is to argue that ideas should be judged by their impact on human flourishing. This, of course, is true, but it's important to remember that flourishing depends on survival. We can't flourish if we don't survive. So that's the first principle on which literally everything else in management depends. Let's avoid death. The second principle follows from this and says that in order to minimize the risk of human extinction, it's better to understand and work with the physical laws of nature than it is to ignore them. Here, for example, imagine the fate of a person who jumps off of a skyscraper with no regard for the laws of gravity. Such a person, of course, will have to pay the consequences of doing that. In a similar way, groups and organizations can either follow or not follow the basic laws of nature. The problem, of course, is that we don't yet completely understand the physical laws of nature. There's a pending task of reconciling general relativity with quantum mechanics. And maybe that's why we don't understand why some companies survive and others don't. In any case, setting our ignorance aside, the principle remains, and it simply says, let's understand and follow the physical laws of nature if we want to survive as a species. So there you have it, the two most basic principles of management. One, it's better for humanity to live, and two, let's understand and follow the physical laws of nature. There are many additional principles that flow from these, such as the importance of story, or the role of emotions, effective leadership, strategy, etc. But they all exist on a lower and less important level of abstraction. Now, the trick, of course, is to connect these very abstract notions to the everyday world in which humans actually live and work. And that's where I think EISM has the advantage. I'll have a lot more to say about this in future videos.